Colin served as one of His Majesty's elite commandos in dangerous operations behind enemy lines with 40 Royal Marine Commando. He survived a life-threatening injury to the back of his head and underwent brain surgery in a makeshift field tent, died on the operating theatre, and was revived. Less than 9 months later, utterly determined to fight Hitler again, he returned to his commando brothers and was back behind enemy lines. I knew Colin Anson and his wife, Alice, for several years before I could persuade Colin that his extraordinary war was worthy of a biography. Like so many of the veterans that I interviewed, he remained humble about his contribution and did not see himself as a hero. Any mention of the word brave was immediately dismissed. The Colin that I knew so well was kind. He had a gentle manner and a firm Prussian accent with which he carefully formed each English word he said. For most of his life, he hid his past from everyone and never spoke about his war to his children. Only Alice knew, because she too had had her own secret war. Finally, I managed to convince Colin that it was important to tell his story so that future generations would remember, learn the lessons, and understand the sacrifices that were made to restore peace and democracy to Europe. Colin was already approaching his 90s, his body still so toned and super fit that it was obvious that he had been in some kind of special forces. He would smile at me and say that he could still take someone down to the ground if he had to. I believed he could. I was very fond of Colin. He was a real gentleman. I knew him for over a decade and regularly had lunch with him and Alice in their home. Through the course of our many days of interviews across a number of years, he explained that he had done nothing astonishing or valiant during the war. But I soon discovered that this was most certainly not the case. He was not born in England, neither was his name originally Colin Anson. He was born in Germany as Claus Leopold Octavio Ascher. After his emigration to England, he was one of the more than 10,000 German refugees from Nazism who served in the British forces during the Second World War. Serving in the Commandos had given him the most intensive physical training the British Army could offer. He was trained to undertake missions which would make most people shudder. He trained with X Troop, otherwise known as 3 Troop, of No. 10 Inter-Allied Commando, which comprised German refugees from Nazism, the majority of whom were Jewish, but not all. Colin objected to X Troop being designated a Jewish troop. He had a Jewish father and Protestant mother, and did not see himself as Jewish at all, even though his father's Jewishness placed Colin at risk in Nazi Germany. His words also provide us with an insight into how he viewed his identity and Britishness, having originally been born German.